What's going on, guys? It's your boy Peter and I'm back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the requirements and also how to get your first job as an aircraft maintenance engineer apprentice for a major airline in Canada. So I'm going to be giving you guys some few points on the requirement and also the ways on how to get your first job as an apprentice for a major Canadian airline. Whatever information I tell you guys is all based on my personal experience and also experience from my friends and co-workers. Number one requirement you need to have to get your first job for a major airline in Canada is making sure you graduate with Diploma and Accreditation. And this might be a little bit tricky because one of the requirements to get your AMA license is actually working as an apprentice for 4 years, or you go to school for 2 years. But the thing is, most major airlines prefer guys that actually went to school for 2 years, and that's because they want someone that actually went through the Canadian education route rather than someone that just worked for 4 years as an apprentice. But it might be a different situation if you actually had your license in your country and you're trying to transfer to a Canadian license, and that's because you already had experience. But for someone that had no experience, most Canadian airline companies actually prefer guys that went to school for 2 years. But what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you graduate with accreditation, and that means you actually passed all your courses 70%. And that's because one of the requirements to get your AME license is having your accreditation. It's one of the requirements for Transport Canada, and you cannot get your license without accreditation. It's either you do those 4 exams or you actually go back to school and do whatever subject you failed, whatever courses you failed in college. And so that's why I tell you guys, whenever you're in school, you got to stay focused. And that's because I had friends in college. When I was in college, I had friends in college where they were just messing around, and it's really affected them getting that first job. And that's because most companies were actually asking like, hey, do you have accreditation? Do you have your diploma? And that's because that's one of the requirements. And so whenever you're in school, you want to make sure you graduate with the diploma and also with accreditation. The second way on how to get your first job for a Canadian major airline is actually having your driver license and also a radio license. I know I don't think I ever mentioned this before. A lot of Canadian major airlines actually have this requirement. Actually, all the major Canadian airlines in Canada have this requirement: a radio license and a driver license. And that's because when you get your job for a major airline, you will find yourself in a lot of situations actually driving on the ramp, actually driving on the apron. And that's because most line maintenance are done on the ramp, and you need a driver license to actually drive a car in Canada. You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure when you're in school, and this actually affected me a lot, and that's because when I was in college, I didn't really have all this information. No one actually told me like, hey Peter, you got to make sure you get your driver license, you got to make sure you get your radio license. And that's why I'm here to actually educate you guys from my mistakes, so you guys don't actually go through this same situation. So you want to make sure whenever you're in school, you want to actually focus on getting your radio license. I know most colleges actually give you the privilege to do the radio license. They actually give you the privilege to write your radio license. For me, I had the privilege, but in school I didn't really take it serious. I didn't know it was really that important. So when you're in school, you want to make sure you get your driver license. And it's not only your driver license. I know for Ontario we have 3 classes of driver license. We have the G1, we have the G2, and we have the G. You want to make sure you get the top of the driver license, so you have the G. You know what I'm saying? And that's because there's less limitation. For a G2, you need like someone with a G to drive with a G2. So you want to make sure you have a G. I don't know how it is in all the province, but for Ontario, you want to make sure you get a G license and also your radio license. And also you will notice whenever you apply for a major airline, the requirement is actually there. You can actually see you must have a driver license, you must have a radio license. So when you're in school, you want to make sure you grab those 2 as possible. Number 3, dropping your resume in person. Man, I can't really explain how this makes a lot of difference. And I am telling you from actually personal experience. I remember when I first graduated school, right? I was looking for a job, desperate trying to get a job, and I noticed I was applying for jobs online and I was not getting no call. And I actually spoke to a friend of mine, was like, why don't you try dropping your resume in person? And I'm telling you, when I did, that's how I actually got my first job. You know what I'm saying? And that's because you guys will notice, right? You graduate in school and you had, let's say you had 30 guys, 30 students in your class, right? All you 30 people are actually applying for the same job, but how do you stand out? How do you stand out from those 30 guys? Because you guys, all 30 of you probably don't have experience. All 30 of you probably have the same qualification. But how do you stand out? It's actually by going in person and dropping your resume. And I'm telling you, this will help you a lot. I know most of major airlines have this requirement of you actually applying online because they have this filtering system that actually filters your resume. But also going in person and dropping your resume will make a lot of difference, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna make a lot of difference. Another way is actually going to, and I'm gonna put you guys on this, man. Someone actually showed me this way recently. Is actually by going to LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is like it's a website whereby people actually post their professions. So what I do is, like, maybe I'm trying to get a job at, let's say, Air Transit, for example, right? I go to LinkedIn and I just search human resources, and guess what? It's gonna pop out, like, bring out the human resources at, let's say, Air Transit. What I do is I just package my resume, send it to the human resources directly. I send it to the person directly, like, hey, blah blah blah, I just graduated school and I'm trying to get a job at Air Transit. And trust me, this will actually help you a lot. Another way is actually going to LinkedIn and find, like, the manager of maintenance. Going to LinkedIn by finding the supervisor. I'm telling you, man, you have to stand out in a way. You can't just be like every other person, just dropping their resume online, because, man, you just making that extra step will get it. And that's how I actually got my first job. I remember my first job, I was applying online, applying online, blah blah blah, and I didn't get no job. But me just going there in person, I can tell you, it took me a week. After dropping my resume in person, within a week, I got a call like, hey, we have you for interview. You know what I'm saying? But if I was like every other person just dropping my resume, submitting my resume online, I'll probably not get this job. You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure you start dropping your resume in person. And I would say, like, 2-3 months before your graduation, you want to start applying for jobs as fast as possible. So by the time you graduate, you already have a job. I'm telling you, I wish I had made this step when I was in college. I wish I had made this step, man, because that would have fastened my job up. Get me getting a job as fast as possible. That would have made me get a job as fast as possible. So for you guys that are still in school right now, you're trying to go to school, you want to make sure you start submitting your resume, start putting yourself out there. So by the time you graduate, man, you already have like 3 to 5 opportunities waiting down for you, man. So the last way is actually networking. And how does this work, right? You guys will notice, right, when they're in school, you will notice there are 2 sets of people in school, and this is gonna sound a little funny, but there are the serious ones and there are the ones that are just there to be there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I noticed. When I was in school, I make sure I made my friends. And those are how did I make my friends? By choosing the right people, by choosing the people that had goals in life. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to be that type of person that just friends with everyone. You want to make sure you choose your friends as fast. I know the ones that actually have value, because those are the guys that will actually get you your job. I can't tell you guys, when I first got my first job, guess what? I put my friends on. I called them like, yo, bro, these guys are hiring right now. You guys will send me your resume. I'm gonna drop it off with the HR, and guess what? They got the job. You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure when you're in school, you make as many good friends as much as you can. So by the time, because those are the guys that will probably get you your job. Those are the guys who will actually put you on good opportunities. And most of my friends usually tell me like, hey, Peter, like, why do you keep so much contact with guys? I'm telling you, I still talk to people from my college. I still keep in contact with people from my college, and that's not because I like texting people, I like talking to people. But that's because I know, like, whenever I need opportunities, I don't know who's gonna help me out. Recently, the job I got recently was actually a friend of mine from college that helped me. And I'm telling you, so networking is a good way, bro. And you want to make sure you have the good, you want to make sure you have the good friends. You want to make sure you have the good people in your life that will get you the right opportunities. So you guys are in school right now. You want to make sure you filter out the good people that you know. You already know the smart ones, the one that has a direction, the ones that has a goal in mind. You can tell easily. You can see them easily. So you want to make sure you're friends with those people, because those are probably the people that will get you a job. Those are probably the people that will put you on in good opportunities. So those are the ways on how to get a job as a apprentice for a major airline in Canada. I try to make this video as fast as possible. You know, I love when you guys ask more questions. I really appreciate you guys supporting this channel. And for you guys that are watching and not subscribing, man, you gotta show your boy some love, man. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate when you guys, you know, ask me a question. I'm ready to help you guys, but you gotta show me that you appreciate my, you know, my time, my value, by subscribing, by liking, you know, by sharing. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this channel up a little bit more, man. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate everything, man. I appreciate you guys ask me more questions. If you guys have any more questions, you can DM me on Instagram, email, comment section. You know what I'm saying? I'm always here to help you guys. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Love you guys.